And speaking of Canadians, we have the NCAA champion. Oh, and also the NCAA record holder in the women's 400-meter hurdles on our show right now, Savannah Sutherland. Girl, we've been waiting a long time for you. We finally get to talk to you, and we're so excited. Welcome.
Thank you.
Hey, Savannah. Congrats again on the amazing season so far. You've been killing it. It's been a pleasure to watch. But when I say that you broke Sydney McLaughlin-Levroni's record, the NCAA record, what does that mean to you? What's your reaction?
Yeah, it means a lot. I mean, obviously, Sydney's the greatest to ever do it. So it's kind of surreal to even just have my name mentioned in the same conversations as hers, honestly. So I don't think that that will ever fully sink in, to be honest.
You've had quite the year. So you make the Paris Olympic final. You also lower your Canadian record by like what? Like a whole second. I feel like on this at this pace, like you're gonna be a world record holder in like no time. But like seriously, when you look at the steady, improvements and these increments, what has been the difference maker for you?
Yeah, honestly, I think just trusting my coaches and trusting my training, I think has brought me a long way. And this year specifically, I think making the Olympic final last season really boosted my confidence. And I think that that was the big difference this season, just knowing that the ceiling's higher than I expected it to be originally.
So going back to the NCAA, you're in contention to win the Bowerman Award. I don't know if you're a big proponent of winning awards and you care about that, or if you're just trying to win races and get better individually. But what does that mean to you, and what would it mean to you to actually win that award? And knowing that a Canadian hasn't won it since 2013, how would that change things for you in your career?
Yeah, that would be really special. I mean, it wasn't really something that was on my radar throughout the season because I never made any of the watch lists throughout the entire season. And so all of a sudden I'm a semi-finalist, which kind of seems a little bit surreal to me. So definitely a bit of a surprise and something that I hadn't really thought about until now. But, obviously a huge honor and something that I was very excited to find out about.
So I got to ask, I'm a USC Trojan, and
Mhm.
we just won the NCAA title in the men's team, so fight on, of course. But Michigan, when I think about Michigan, I don't really think about Michigan as a sprint school. I know you guys are really good at
Mhm.
football as well, but what was it like training there, and how did you get this done going to the University of Michigan as a Wolverine? How did you ascend this high as a non-traditional sprint school?
Yeah, for sure. Michigan definitely is more of a distance school historically, and that's not something I really knew going into it. I didn't really know anything about the NCAA, honestly. I'd never really heard about it before, so that was kind of a surprise coming in, but not something that I was surprised or like not used to. Saskatchewan isn't really a big track place either, so I kind of have always been from a place where maybe it was a little bit more difficult, or maybe you had to work a little harder, drive a little farther, or compete indoors for a longer amount of time than other places. So just kind of leaning into that, and it kind of felt familiar in that sense. Like I'm used to training on an indoor track majority of the year, so that didn't really bother me, and that was something that I was used to as compared to a lot of the other schools who are able to go on outdoor tracks a lot earlier. And it's definitely a little bit difficult for 400 hurdles specifically because there's not a whole lot you can do with that indoors in terms of workouts. So that would be a bit of a transition at the beginning of the season. But, we did what we could, and it ended up working out. And I have a great relationship with my coach and all of my teammates. And so that definitely makes the whole difference.
I hear you saying like I'm built for this. Okay, I'm from Borden, Saskatchewan. This is just what I do. No big deal. And I really feel like you've put your community on the map. So it looks like you're back at home right now. What
Yes.
is the plan? Like you're at home for about a week. You're gonna be chilling, relaxing. What is the plan for the rest of the season as you push your way towards national championships and then of course the world championships?
Yeah, just competing here and there. I'm going to a meet in Edmonton in about a week and a half's time, and just going to do a flat 400 there. So retouch on some speed work, which is important throughout the season as you kind of get in the rhythm of 400-meter hurdles. It's important to kind of circle back around and get some flat work in and get some speed work in. So that's the plan for this month, and then Canadian Nationals at the end of the month. So we have yet to decide what I'm going to do at Canadians. So that's kind of still up in the air, but we'll see.
Well, you made the Olympic final last year, so that's a huge boost for you confidence wise. You're the NCAA record holder and NCAA champion 2 times over. So what's next? You know, you got the Femke Bowles of the world, you got the Sydney McLaughlins, you got the people out there who've been killing it for years, but you're a top 10 all time with your time now. So what's your expectation going into this year's Worlds?
Yeah, honestly, trying to keep my expectations low. And first thing is make the final like I did last year. You know, it's
Right.
a super competitive event right now, and I feel like anything can happen, especially when there's hurdles involved. So just kind of trying to keep my head on straight and hopefully finish higher than I did last year. So last year was seventh, and just as long as I'm making forward progress, I think that's enough for me.
Savannah,
Very humble Canadian.
I'm so curious with hurdlers, like how they actually find their way to the event. Like, how did you find the 400-meter hurdles?
Yeah, hurdles in general was something that I didn't really want to do at
Same,
first.
same.
My coach kind of told me to check it out, and
Mhm.
so I was very hesitant. And he said, you know, we'll do it for 2 meets, and it was the 60-meter hurdles indoors. And he said,
Yeah.
we'll do it for 2 meets, and if it goes horribly, you never have to see a hurdle ever again in your life. And then both of those meets were just in Saskatoon, and I ended up winning both of them. And so he said, you know, we're going to stick with this. And at that point, I was a decent hurdler and I was a decent 400-meter runner. So it made sense to just try and combine them, I guess, and go for that.
So you said you're going to run in Edmonton, and we know you're going to be at nationals. Do you have any plans to run any pro meets before World Championships this year? Are we going to see you on the circuit at all?
Yeah, that's the plan. That's the hope. I think we're looking at a Diamond League in Poland, I heard, and then there's
Mm,
also another meet in Budapest that we're looking at. So
nice.
then that's when I would kind of tune up the hurdles before going into Worlds, and then those would be my last meets before Tokyo.
Nice. Do you have an agent that you're working with, or is
I
you
do
and your
have,
coach making these decisions?
yeah, I do have an agent that I'm working
Okay.
with.
Okay. So you're
Yes.
fully pro now. You're ready for the next level.
I guess so. Yeah, we'll
Nice,
see.
nice, nice.
Savannah,
Yeah.
I know the transition from like NCAAs to pro can kind of be crazy, but you have such the right attitude. Like you're just chill, you're just calm, you're taking it as it goes. Keep that same energy that will take you really, really far in the sport because it can get crazy out there, as you know. But again, thank you for coming to Trackside and good luck with the rest of your season.
Thank you so much.